to YouTube whānau, my name's Rick and this is Rick the Maker. So today I've got another piece of bone here, finally doing another carving video. I know it's been a very long time, but finally got my setup all sorted out again in the new house, in the new garage. So about time I get into doing another carving. I've got a piece of bone here that I'm going to just carve a simple little spiral out of. Just got a little picture here of the spiral. It's a bit hard to see at the moment, but it's just a matter of getting these connections like this. So if I just connect those like that, you can see the spiral. So just going to do something like that, just a little long pendant at the moment, just out of this piece of bone here. I'm going to be making a lot more videos of carving and stuff. I'm going to be doing other things as well, obviously, but I'm going to be able to do carving videos now that I've got this all set up, which is good. I've just got a bit of a downdraft table here that I've made, and here's a fan that I made out of an old extractor, like a range hood. I've got that all sorted out, and I've got it going into a filtered box. I also wear a mask. Always wear a mask when you're doing anything with bone. If you can smell the bone, you're breathing in the bone. It's the best way to look at it. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, we've got somewhat of a flat bottom on it now. Well, it's not perfectly flat, but it's just enough so that when I put it onto the scroll saw, it's not going to want to like roll around and all that kind of stuff. Just makes life a bit easier for me. Cool, so we'll take it over there. Okay, bit of a change of plan. Scroll saw's decided not to play the game today, so I'm just going to end up having to do it with the sanding drum. So this sanding drum here, I'll go through a bit of my bits and stuff, what I actually use. This one here is just pretty much the biggest one that I have. It's about probably 14 millimeters across. It's about 12 millimeters or so high. I do have smaller ones. I've got this smaller one here, which is a slightly smaller one, and a medium sized one as well. It just makes life a little bit easier having these. They tend to remove quite a bit of material in a very short amount of time, so that's usually what I use these for. Makes life just that little bit more pleasant. Cool, so I'll start removing some of this bone and we'll be good to go. Alrighty, down to a bit more of a reasonable shape now. Going to be a lot easier to do it this way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to flatten out the top and get a bit more of a more pencil line on it. It's a bit hard to discern. Like you can see it quite easily like that, but as soon as it starts getting to the light, it's a bit hard to catch up with these lines. So I'll do that and then I'll bring you guys back. Well, as you guys saw, I find it a lot easier to draw a line right down the centre. Just a faint line, doesn't have to be easy to see too much. You're just really getting a general idea of the middle of the piece and then just doing these. So this one here has a bit of a round at the top, this one has a round at the bottom, obviously stopping and starting at the end of the swirl. And then here we've got point and point, point and point, because that's where they're going to intertwine with each other. So yeah, just draw a centre line right down the middle, just makes it a lot easier for you to work with it. Next I'm going to be using a bit that I actually use quite a lot. It's one of those bits that you can always find a use for, and it's this bit right here. Probably one of my favourite bits. It's good because it's got a flat, so you can actually able to flatten out stuff quite easily. It's also got the points on the edge of it, right here, which makes it really good for getting into areas like this. You can get right into that corner there, and then you just come back the other way, and you can get a really nice corner line inside there. And because there's a slight taper on it, going from the top to the bottom, or from the end to the shaft, it's really good. It's a lot harder for you to, because if it was square, you'd end up hitting a point where, like, if say you're trying to get into a point that's more like this, or even just a right angle, if it was square, you'd have to get that perfectly parallel to that so that you didn't damage this wall. But because it's got the slight taper, it's a lot easier to get it in. See, this one here will actually get right into that corner. So yeah, I'll go through all of my bits and show you them all. These bits here are pretty cheap. You can actually get them, usually you get packs. You'll get a pack of a bunch of different bits. Usually one of these will be in it. But it's one of the bits that I always go to. Really good bits. Alrighty guys, I'm back. Fortunately, it's been about a week since I've been out here. I've had to do other stuff around the house and all that kind of thing. Spend time with the family, obviously, which is a good thing to do. Best thing to do, in my opinion. But we're going to get back into this. So I pretty much just now want to get into these parts here. I showed you guys the bit to use, and we'll get into doing that. Okay, here we go. We've got the general shape of it down now. We've still got to obviously do the holes in the middle, and these spots here, they're each going to have holes. And we've also got to cut in here and here, just to allow this piece here to stand out, same with these ones, so that it's more of a spiral. Yeah, get into doing that. I'll probably actually rough those in now, to be honest. At least that way I'll have a general idea of where I need to start and stop. Alrighty, now it's time to get these holes sorted out. I'll probably just draw those back in again, just these ones here. I'll get those drawn back in, and then we can get back into carving. Once I get those holes drilled out, it's going to be a lot easier for me to shape the rest of it the way that I want to. Now you can do these pretty much in any order that feels comfortable to you. I tend to do it in this order because you've always got your lines here displayed to you. This one here and this one here. Same whole way along. That's why I will usually come along and just cut these in a bit. And as you can see there, we're kind of getting the look of the spiral, so it comes from under, over, under, over, under, over, and so on. There you go. Just do these for now, get these penciled in, and then it gives me just a line to work towards when I'm doing the holes. So yeah. Now for doing those holes, I will probably be using, more than likely, a drill bit to begin with. Well, it's not really a drill bit, it's just a bit that I use quite a bit for drilling holes. So this bit here. So this is a bit that actually came in a pack. I actually got this pack, believe it or not, from AliExpress. Just this pack here. You see I've already used some of the bits. There's just this pack here. They're all pretty much the same shape, just different sizes. So it went all the way from down to there. I think this one was probably around about here. And then just gradually got bigger. But yeah, these ones are quite good if you are doing quite a big hole, or say I need to cut something on the scroll saw and I need to put the blade through a hole. I'll usually use one of these ones here, because they are quite a bit bigger. And because of the way that they are, you don't really have the problem of like slipping or anything like that, because they tend to want to grab and hold on to what they're drilling into. But these are really good too also for pretty much just outlining it. So I can drill this into the center here, drill it into the center there, and then just work my way around. As long as I keep it straight, I can usually get it very close to the shape that I want it. Same with all of these. But yeah. Now the main thing to remember, obviously, when bone carving, is that your bits, whatever you're doing, is the rotation of the bit. I'm using this bit here, and this bit turns clockwise, so it wants to spin that way. Most of them do, but the thing is, if you're coming into something like this and you're carving, say, this way, this is going to grab. It's going to want to pull the bit, so you always want to pull towards the direction that it's spinning. Kind of the same as what you'd have with, say, a router. Router does the same thing. If you're going along and you're routing something and you don't want to go with the rotation, you want to go against the rotation of the bit. Yeah, you have a lot less chance of it pulling out or skipping or anything like that if you're pushing into your cut. So yeah. Oh, got those holes done. And obviously they're not pretty. They don't have to be right now, but we're going to clean them up. Main thing you're going to want to watch out for is that you don't actually go either across your line or at least just go up to your line. If you go past your line at any point like this, that's it. Can't put it back together the way it was. So for these inside pieces, I'm probably going to actually look at using this bit here to begin with. So this also came out of one of those cheap packs. So this is just a point one. You can get other point ones which obviously have a bit more of a point on them. Well, greater of an angle on them. Sometimes I will use this one just to get it started. But I think we'll go straight to this one this time, and then I'll go from this one, go from that one there, and probably end up using this one here. So this is a diamond bit, but it has a really fine point on it. You want a really fine point. Just makes these corners in here look so much nicer if you can get like right in and get like a nice line. I'll tend to start flat and then I'll pull it out like this and just slowly tilt it back. That will allow quite a nice V on the inside of there. So yeah. Alrighty, looking pretty good now. Got a bit more of a defined point in these corners here. That's going to work out a lot better. Obviously there's still a bit of cleaning up to do, but I'm not going to do a huge amount of cleaning up now because what we're going to end up shaving this down quite a bit. Because we don't want it obviously this fat. I'm probably going to end up tapering this back edge up a little bit, because it doesn't need to be that fat at the top. And then once I've done that, it's going to be a lot easier for me to clean it up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. luckily with my Dremel, I've actually got two heads for it. This one here is probably the best one for just removing a bunch of stuff. I really like this one because it's so small. It's kind of like holding a pencil or a pen, fat pen. So it makes life a bit easier when I'm doing a bit more like delicate stuff. This one here is really good just for removing material. So yeah, I'm actually using the Dremel model 732. I've actually had it for quite a while. It's got a flex shaft which is really handy, and the two interchangeable ends on it. It's got a foot pedal which makes life a lot easier as well. So yeah, let's get into it. Cool, I think it's time for a new sander. The sander's just gone. But luckily, we've done with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to hit it a few times with a couple of files. I find files a lot better for like getting flat spots and all that kind of stuff, obviously because files are flat. And when you're doing stuff with a rounded bit, it's never going to be nice and flat. So I'll just touch it a few times with the file. There's heaps of different files out there that you can use, different shapes, different sizes, all that kind of stuff. I find I go to this one quite a lot. I like this one, it's quite wide. It's probably only about 8mm to 10mm wide, but I do like it because it is incredibly flat and I get nice flat surfaces with it. So I'm literally just going back and forth with this one. Nothing too fancy really. Sorry for that noise that you guys are probably hearing. That's my dust extractor that I've got set up down here. Just a downdraft table, just sucks all the dust away. I do wear a mask as well. And with both of these combined, I don't smell the bone at all. And now this saying, if you can smell the bone, you're breathing the bone. So now that's nice and flat-ish. And it's a lot better of a size as well, and thickness. See, it's a bit thinner at the top than it is at the bottom. It's a lot better. This bit of the file off. Now, what I want to do now is I want to get my shape to a point that I don't want to have to take much more stuff off it. So I've got this pretty much sorted out. I want to get it to a shape now, like I want to start rounding some of these, rounding this bottom edge the way that I want it rounded, all that kind of stuff. Once I've got that all done, I'll be in a much better position. I'll know where I'll stand with how thick it's going to look and all that kind of stuff, and I'll be able to start rounding some of these inside edges over with the Dremel. So yeah, I'll get into that. So now, as you can probably see, looking at it like this, you've got a little bit of a dip here. I want a bit more of a dip down than that. I mean, here, if I colour this in, it might be a bit easier for you to see it. So that's it. That's the only dip that I have on all of these. So I'm going to cut that in a bit further so it's more like this with all of them. Get that all down nice and clean, and then what I also need to do, I need to do it on the other side as well, but I actually also need to do the back. Now the biggest thing with that is making sure that it matches up with the front. You want this is on top, which means at the back you want this one on top. This way. Because believe me, I've done a carving before, didn't even think of what I was doing, did it, and it just looked really silly. So just letting you guys know, just to keep an eye out for stuff like that. Always be turning it around and looking at it. Just gives you a better idea of what you're working with and how things are all turning out. So yeah, I'm going to just do these pieces here and start on the back side as well. And then I'll probably honestly just move on to some files for a bit. I like files because you're not taking a huge amount of bone off it, but you're also seeing the results quite well because it does tend to leave a bit more of a smooth finish. Like obviously it's scratched up, but see that's already got a bit of a round to it just from that. But yeah, we'll get into that. Hey, here's our spiral shape. Still got quite a bit of weight to it, which is good. There's nothing worse than having a bone carving that's too light. It just doesn't want to hang right around the neck. So yeah. Obviously still a bit rough at the moment. Be able to get that all sorted out. Probably head over to the files now, start doing the filing on it, get the shape a bit more refined, just like say in here how there's quite a bit of ridges and stuff in there. Don't know if you guys can see that, there we go. Just get all that flattened out, just make a smooth transition from there to there. Whenever you're doing stuff like this too, you want to make sure that your heights are pretty much the same. So I want to make sure that this height here is the same height as this height here. That's the main thing, because you want it to look as though it's just flowing underneath. If you have them at different heights, it's going to look quite funny, because it's going to go through, then drop, and then come out the other side. So yeah, so we'll get some filing done and be ready to roll. Get all nice and cleaned up. Definitely getting there. That's the point. I don't know if I've shown you guys this before. This is just a piece, 2 pieces of timber, or 3 pieces of timber, and just a bracket in between them, and it just gives it a bit of a pivot point. And all I do, the way that this is made, I've got a little channel in here. The way that this is made, just fits in there. Just jam it in, and it pinches together. Makes it easy for me to grab bits like this and just have a bit more to hold on to, really. So there. Just a bit easier to hold on to this than it is the bone. I usually only really pull it out when I'm doing the files and stuff. I've got a lot of different types of files. The file I use really depends on what I'm doing, but most of the time there's pretty much 3, maybe 4 different files that I use. I've got this one here, which is just a flat face, but it's a triangle. So it's got 2 really tapered sides on the end, so that makes it quite easy to get into points like say in here. I can get right into there and file that. Also the one that I first showed you, this one here. Also I've got so many over here, this is the annoying thing, is trying to find what I'm looking for. This one here, which is the same as this one, but it's got a rounded back, which is really good for getting into those curves. And where are you? Hello. This one. Just a round one. It's quite small, quite thin. It's probably only about 3-4 mil wide. It's really good. You don't have to get really good files. I mean, these are just cheap files that I got from, I think it was Bunnings. Just really cheap ones. I mean, it's one of those things, you're not putting them through a lot of stress, they're just filing bone. Alrighty, that's the basic filing down. I think it's pretty much at a shape now where I can actually sand it, but what I want to do first is I want to clean up in here. See, these aren't rounded at all, so I need to clean up in these areas. Probably put a bit more of a radius on that, probably around like that. Just clean up these, get them a bit more rounded. But I'd probably end up using for that is maybe a little bit of this one, which just comes in those cheap packs. And what else? Honestly, probably this one. I found this one pretty good for doing stuff like that. It's kind of got a little bit of a teardrop shape to it, so it's quite good for getting in here. It leaves a little bit of a curve, so I'll probably look at doing that one as well. Just to sand it to make it a bit nicer, I'll probably end up going with something like that diamond bit that I had before, but a bit more of a cone shaped on it. So that's it there. Just a bit more of a cone shape on it. I don't need to do a really fine point for this one, so I'll probably end up using that one. But yeah. I'm going to put the lines in now that I actually use to seat in the cordage when I string it. So all I do is I just do a line down here and a line down here. Now I want to make sure it's big enough for 3 pieces of the cordage that I'm using, because I'm actually going to plait the cordage. Now there's enough room there for the cordage to sit in. And I think we're now at the point where I can put the diamond bit in and start sanding it up, and then I can break out the sandpaper and start sanding it. Now I'm just going to use this. Just gets rid of these bumps, like all these bumps along here, just gets rid of most of those. Just allows me to flatten it out a bit easier, makes the sanding process a lot easier. Alright, yeah. Okay, now we're going to file. Just got to file out the insides of these just to clean them up a little bit, and we can move on to sanding. So I'm just using about 180 here. just knocks it all back. Get rid of these. See these little imperfections here on the bottom? See one just there, there's one just there. Got to get rid of those because those are going to show up so easily once I start polishing it. Alrighty, sanding done. And we got it all nice and smooth. We're pretty much at the point now where we just need to polish it. Cool. That's where we're at. So because this one has a few little nooks and crannies and stuff, especially on the inside here, I'm going to have to probably do a little bit of polish with the Dremel. That's easy enough really, it's just a little bit finicky. Probably won't need to go on that, but next step will probably be stringing. This is our finished product. Pretty easy one, this one, pretty simple. Next one I'll be doing probably be a bit harder, so stick around, subscribe to the channel so you guys get a notification when I do that. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Next video will be me stringing it. So yeah, just leave a like, subscribe, and if you want to share as well. Ka kite.